Can yoga help you live longer? That is the question we are trying to answer on this International Day of Yoga on the Never Too Late channel. And to answer this, I spoke with two experts. Professor Rima Dada of AIMS Delhi, who has been studying the impact of yoga on aging and on metabolic diseases for over 2 decades. I also spoke with Rashmi Ramesh, a yogini who has studied, practiced, and has taught yoga for over 15 years. So hit subscribe and ensure that you watch both these videos because both are very interesting and very useful conversations. Also, share them with your folks. In this interview, Rashmi speaks to me about how yoga can extend your health span, how it helps in mental health, and it improves focus. She also lists 5 asanas that you should be doing to help you along on your longevity journey and tells us when is the best time of the day to do yoga. Listen in. Do you believe yoga can help you live longer?
Yes, I do. And I don't think it's only about living longer, but it's also the quality of life. Because anyone can live longer, but if you live longer with ailments and you live longer with joint pain and a lot of other things, then it's not going to be you won't be happy. So I do believe that yoga can help you have a longer, better quality life.
Right. So essentially, you're talking about Healthspan, and we'll come to that in a bit. But tell me this. I mean, you have been practicing yoga for how many years now?
I've been teaching for about 15 years or so, and before that, I used to practice. My mom, I saw used to watch my mom practice yoga actually on her mat, and that's what got me interested. And this was when I was in college. So since then, I've been practicing yoga. I was also a dancer. I've been dancing a lot. I went to dance school professionally. So yeah, I've been teaching for about 15, 16 years now.
And what is the single biggest benefit that you have seen from yoga?
I think more than anything else is adaptability. A lot of people talk about their body becoming more flexible. They talk about their mind being more centered or being calmer. But I think for me, it has made my body and my mind more adaptable. Uh, if I have to talk a little bit more about it, now along with yoga, I also do a little bit of weight training. I do swimming and other things. So the practice of yoga really complements or supplements all my other activities. And I think that there is nothing that gives me more peace of mind than that yoga practice that I do.
Great. But also you made a very important point about, not just living long or living to 100, but it is also the quality of life that you have, which is also what we call health span, the number of healthy years that you get. How does yoga really help, help expand or extend your health span? You said your mother practices yoga. What are
Yeah.
you seeing with it?
So one is that I'll talk about my mom and I will talk about yoga in general. I'll start with yoga first. So when you practice yoga, it releases these different hormones in your body. There's serotonin, there's endorphins, there's oxytocin. So all of these are the feel-good hormones, dopamine. So different practices do that: meditation, breathing exercise, practicing asanas, being in tune with your breath, basically. And it lowers the cortisol level. Cortisol is a stress hormone. So when yoga takes care of this, what happens to you later is that you get better sleep. And I've seen a lot of older people complaining that they don't get sleep at all. Like I have my grandmom, she's 87 now, and she keeps saying that she can sleep only 2 or 3 hours every night, and she's just not able to sleep. So a yoga practice may help improve your sleep. And I've seen this with myself. I do all these other workouts. The days that I practice yoga, I get very, very good sleep. And I have seen the quality of sleep improve just with my yoga practice. So, one is that if your sleep improves, sleep itself is so good for your body, right? It helps restore your body. It helps you, you wake up feeling fresh. So that is one. That is just the hormones that get secreted when you practice yoga. My mom, she's about 65 now, and she had a lot of knee issues. And I had taken my mom and dad on a trek about 10 years ago, and they were not able to complete it. She kept saying, my knees are hurting, I'm not able to walk. And then she started practicing a little bit more intensive form of yoga where she would hold this asana. It's called malasana, where you sit in this deep squat. It's this Indian toilet hold. So she would practice that asana and she would do a few other things. And after that, her knee pain just went away. So I think just from her experience, this yoga practice really helps also with joint pain, because as you age, your bone density reduces. You need a lot more care with your bones and with your joints, and that really helps.
Let's talk about mental health, which you did touch about, but more importantly, about how can yoga help us keep our brains sharp as we age, because dementia, Alzheimer's is a big problem.
So one is that if you are genetically prone to these things, it may happen to you. But what yoga could probably do is delay the onset of it, or possibly reduce the intensity of the symptoms that you have. If you have things like dementia, and I mean, I have my grandfather had either Alzheimer's or dementia, so it, it just in my blood also. You please talk to me 40 years later and let's see how I'm doing. But I think that when you're in tune with your breath, so what is yoga? Yoga is the union, yuj. Yoga comes from the Sanskrit word yuj, which means union. So it is the union of your body and your breath and your mind. So when you are in tune with your breath and your mind, people talk a lot about the body, but there's very little talk about the breath and how you can actually harness a lot of things using meditation as a tool. It makes you very intuitive, and there are certain benefits of, like how I spoke about reducing your stress levels, because high stress also leads to a lot of other issues. It could lead to high blood pressure, a lot of diabetes, a lot of other health issues, and these also in turn start to affect your brain in ways where they start triggering things in your brain. The practice of yoga, basically, one is it keeps you healthy, it
Right.
keeps you fit, but it also keeps you active, because you have to constantly, when you're practicing yoga, you're constantly staying aware of your breath. When you're meditating, yes, you do have to let go, but it starts off with, okay, let me take my attention to my breath. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? Let me take my attention to everything around. So you are so in tune with yourself that it will make you more centered, and it will definitely impact the way that your brain functions.
Tell us this. Does regular yoga practice work something like an SIP? So do the benefits, sort of compound over time?
Uh, so I wouldn't say that it compounds, but your yoga practice gets better as you do it more and more. So again, I'll give you my own example. I started off doing a style of yoga which is called Hatha Yoga. I moved on to doing another style of yoga which is Shivananda Yoga. So all these practices are generally a little simple, which is a physical practice. Then I moved on to doing a style of yoga which is called Ashtanga Yoga. And Ashtanga Yoga is very, very tough physically. So I am still doing the Ashtanga primary series. And the primary series is like a level 4 or level 5 for a Hatha Yoga practitioner. When I started doing this Ashtanga practice, there were a lot of things that I could not do at all. There is this coming into a half push-up, which is called Chaturanga Dandasana. That is doing a headstand, but coming up into it in a different way. So there were a lot of things that I could not do at that time. But I kept practicing. I kept practicing. It took me about 2 years to get to a level where I can say, okay, now I can actually do maybe 70% of it. So I wouldn't say that it has a compounding effect, but as you keep practicing, you get better at it, which obviously makes a difference. So as you keep practicing, you will get better at it. As you get better at it, the effect of it will be more.
Great. So then, what happens? I mean, you of course started very early. You said you started somewhere in your teens. What about if you start later in life, like in your 40s? Will you still benefit as much?
So I don't think that I don't think I started early, first of all. I think I should have started when I was 2 years old. But uh, irrespective of when you start, you will still have some benefit of it. Okay. There are people who start early. Like, for example, I have seen children, say, who start gymnastics when they're 4 and 5 years old. You see how flexible and agile they are. And that continues, that flexibility, even if they stop doing it, they can pick up very quickly, even when they're, suppose they've not done anything for 5 years and they go back to it, their body just adapts. So it's the same thing for if you are older. I have had students who are 40, 45, 50 even, who started their yoga journey with me and still continue to do so. And they started off with not being able to do a simple Surya Namaskar to doing 108 Surya Namaskars, to not being able to come up into a shoulder stand to now doing a headstand with variations. In their 50s, they're doing this. So this has only happened because of consistency and dedication. So there is no age that says that you cannot start it right now. And if you're 60, you can start it. There are so many things that you can do which you can really reap the benefits of irrespective of your age. Even if you're 80, so even on my YouTube channel, we have these chair yoga sequences, and I make it a point to do all of them either with my grandmothers or my mother or my mother-in-law, so that other people can see that if people of this age are able to do it, then I can do it too. So there is no age, I would say, to start. Of course, the earlier the better, but it's never too late.
So tell us this. I mean, you are very young, but still, a good question to ask you. How are you working towards your longevity? And I'm not just talking about yoga practice as such. What are the other things that you focus on?
So I focus, one is on the food that I eat. I have been eating a plant-based diet for more than about 12 or 13, 14 years now. I don't remember now. It's been over a decade. I don't consume any animal products. I don't consume any meat. All of this has to do with, one of the aspects of yoga, which is ahimsa, which is non-violence towards animals, but also reading up about the harm that we cause animals, especially in the dairy industry. That is one. I also eat early dinners, and this I have really maintained it after having a baby. My dinner time is usually 6:30, and then after that I try not to eat anything. It's hard being a breastfeeding mom because you feel hungry all the time, but this is something that I've put into practice. And apart from yoga, I also do other forms of exercise, especially weight training. Weight training meaning I'll use kettlebells and I use dumbbells to work out, because beyond the point, your body needs a little bit of strength. You need to build that strength, which you may not be able to build just doing body exercises. So it's nice to complement your yoga practice with a little bit of weight training and strength training. This is especially because as you grow older, your knees start to give way because they are the smallest and the weakest joints holding the most amount of weight. So you need to ensure that you're taking care of your knees with strength training exercises. So these are few of the things that I do to work on my longevity.
Great. And what would you say? What are the five asanas that you do or you would recommend to boost health span and longevity?
So I would never recommend only five asanas, first of all. But if you
If you had
really
to
have,
pick five,
see, I think that whatever you do has to be well balanced. And there are a lot of people also. I want to say this before I tell you the five asanas that I recommend, because people say, if I have PCOD, what asana should I do to get rid of it? If I have thyroid, what asana should I do to get rid of it? Now, there is no one asana that is going to help you magically cure a disease that you have. I have autoimmune hypothyroid, which is called Hashimoto's, and I've had this since I was in college. And this is one of the things that got me really into yoga. And people who have Hashimoto's are very overweight. They don't take care of their health. They find it, the metabolism is very slow. They find it difficult to lose weight, and all of these other things. So there's no one asana. If I tell you, okay, if you do shoulder stand every day, your Hashimoto's will get cured. Then people will just stay in that shoulder stand and they'll be like, okay, fine, I should just do this all the time. But it has to be a well balanced practice, a well balanced lifestyle. Like I said, you have to ensure that you're eating right, eating well, eating on time, practicing yoga, being disciplined about everything that you do, and also sleep is important. I have gone totally away from telling you the five asanas that I would recommend. But if there were five asanas that I would recommend, one is a twist to aid digestion, which is called Markatasana. So it's a lying down, you bend both your knees, take it to one side, and you stretch your arms either to the sides or you raise your arms up. And that's a really good twist for your spine, and that keeps your spine healthy. The second one would be Trikonasana, which is the triangle pose. One, because it is a very easy asana for anybody to do. Two, because it's a great stretch for your whole body, your legs, your back, your arms. The third asana that I would really recommend is doing Sarvangasana, the shoulder stand. So there are two inversions in my list because inversions are very good for your heart. What happens is that when you stand all day, your heart has to pump blood in the opposite direction to you against the force, against gravity, upwards. But when you do inversions, when you practice yoga, your heart gets to relax and the blood goes towards your brain. And that is one of the things that also helps your brain function better, since we were talking about brain longevity. So Sarvangasana, and I would say Shirshasana, which is the headstand. And the last pose that I had a list and I have lost this last pose somewhere. But the last pose that I would say is definitely something to work on building core strength, because something like a plank or a boat pose, Navkasan, which really helps you keep a healthy back, healthy core, and healthy posture.
If they want to go offline, if they want to choose an instructor, how do you go about it? Because you have yoga classes everywhere.
So I would say that different people like different styles of yoga based on their personality. And there are many different styles of yoga. There is yin yoga, which is a little more relaxing, restorative practice. There is hatha yoga, which is not very intensive, but it's moderately intensive. There is Shivananda yoga, which has only a set sequence of asanas. There is Ashtanga yoga, which is what I practice, which is very intense physically. And then there are different schools that do different things. Like I do yoga lattes, which is a combination of yoga and Pilates. So and there's Iyengar yoga also, which has props, which incorporates props and all of that. So I would say that if you are trying to figure out what kind of yoga you should do, one is you either find a teacher that you really resonate with, and you start, practicing with that teacher, or you can, they call this spiritual shopping. You go to all the different classes around you. You find one Iyengar, you find one Hatha, you find one Ashtanga, you find all these different classes, and then you choose one that you really like and one that really resonates with you. Like, for example, my sister, she tried coming for my class, but she said, you know what, it's too much, it's too intense. I want to do something relaxing and restorative. So something like a yin yoga is better for her. I have a friend who tried doing Iyengar yoga and she really enjoys doing Iyengar yoga because she likes the props. So everyone has different preferences when it comes to it. So I would say try everything and see what you like, or find a teacher who you really trust and start practicing with that teacher.
Right. And on that note, some rapid fire questions to you, Rashmi. First thing that
Yes.
you do when you wake up?
If you asked me this question 4 months ago, my answer would be very different. But first thing I do when I wake up now is feed my baby.
Well, let's go back to 4 months ago. I was expecting this. So, what was the first thing you would do otherwise?
I would just brush my teeth.
Okay, one food you eat every day.
A banana.
What is the best time to do yoga?
Morning on an empty stomach or after you have a fruit. So I usually like to have a fruit smoothie before I start my yoga practice. So yeah.
And what if you're not a morning person?
But you will wake up at some point, right? So the thing is, it's best to do it on an empty stomach, because after you eat, sometimes you have to wait for 2.5 hours for your stomach to get a little bit for your food to digest, and you not for you not to feel full. And certain asanas don't feel comfortable with food in your tummy. So that is why it is recommended that you do it on an empty stomach. So if you're not a morning person, whenever you wake up, you have a glass of water, you finish your yoga practice, and then you do whatever you have to do.
In case you have to skip a workout, how do you compensate?
Uh, I would like to say that I don't skip a workout, but
This is for us lazy, normal people.
I I go I don't know, I probably eat a little lighter, or I do a little extra the next day. But I'm very, very disciplined about my workouts. Even now, postpartum, actually, I was talking to my husband about it. He hasn't been disciplined about it, but I have been disciplined about it. So I, there is only one day that I give my body a break, and I say that's if you do yoga, you don't need that rest day. But if you also lift weights and you go to the gym and you swim and all of that, your muscles need to relax. So you need just one day's break.
Okay, what is your favorite asana and why?
My favorite asana is the headstand, because I think when you are upside down, you see everything with a different perspective. And also, when you come out of the headstand, you feel really like that blood rush to the brain feels amazing. And in order to achieve that headstand, it took a lot of practice. So it kind of feels like an accomplishment to be able to do that asana so easily. So yeah.
Rashmi Ramesh, thank you very much for speaking to us. You just made yoga sound extremely badass. You spoke about rush of blood to the brain. At the same time, you also told us about how it gives you a completely new perspective, a new outlook on life. Thank you very much for speaking to us. Of course, all of us are not as disciplined as you are, where you don't skip even a single workout, but it is something that we could try to work towards, considering that this is coming from a new mother. And if a new mother with a 4-month-old baby can do yoga every day, I think it is never too late for the rest of us to begin. Thank you very much.